Hi, Dave here. This is one of our single product reviews, but it's also part of a roundup review where I compare it with similar items. If you want to watch that, check out the YouTube description for a link, or if you're on our website, just have a look below this video. Okay, let's get into it. Don't have time to watch the whole review? That's fine, here's the executive summary. I put this thing together, thought it looked like a decent stand, but discovered that the top will tilt very easily, no matter how much you tighten it up. So my recommendation is, do not buy this if you're thinking of putting a projector on it. Sheet music, fine. Projector, no. Okay, this is the overview of the Tripod Projector Stand by a company called Holdoor, I guess is how we're pronouncing it. So, there's quite a few pieces, is the first thing that I'm noticing. I'll just run through them for you. Starting with the box, which the only thing I want to point out is that it just says laptop stand, and also made in China. Made in China comes as no surprise. 90% of the stuff on Amazon is, I mean, don't quote me on that, but it must be something like that. The only thing that's slightly noticeable there is that the box is completely unbranded. That is clearly just a laptop stand that is being produced by a factory in China and then offered out to whoever wants to buy it. And well, certainly in this case at least, there's been no attempt to actually brand this product specifically. I'm just realising there is a design on here actually that says Perlman, which is not the seller. I'm guessing that's just whoever makes that particular part. None of that really means anything though. It's just kind of interesting to know whether you're dealing with a company that are trying to actually set up a brand or not. Okay, so the parts. We've got a carry bag, which is always the case, although this one is enormous. Looks more like one of those Gucci handbags. The good thing about that is it means it's going to fit the platform in it that holds the projector, by which I mean this, which is a fairly large, weighty one of those. We've got a mobile phone holder, which is a unique addition in my experience. An Allen key, or Allen wrench, I think maybe you guys call it over in America. Some instructions, which again is a rarity, but I can see why, because of the number of parts. And the good thing is, having just read the first couple, they appear to have been written by someone with English as a first language, which is cool and rare. So then we've got the actual parts of the stand. They feel quite chunky. They feel like they might be made of, they're clearly made of metal. I'm not quite sure what they are. They feel light. It doesn't feel like aluminum though, but maybe that's just because it's coated. Anyway, it feels fairly sort of sturdy in terms of the construction materials. There's a handful of screws, and I've just lost one. A couple of these elastic bands that tend to come with projector stands. They're pretty flimsy, these ones, but then there are two of them, so that's okay. And then they've included a bit of foam dampening material to put on top of the platform and just reduce vibrations and therefore noise from the projector. Right, so I'm going to have to put this together. Normally projector stands, it has to be said, just come in like a couple of pieces, and putting them up is a matter of seconds, but this is going to take a few minutes, so I may just have to fast forward a little bit. Okay, I'm back. So let's have a run through of what we've got here. It's For starters, the weight of it is really substantial. That's a fairly thick metal platform up there, and the structure itself weighs a bit. So that's kind of good, again, in the sense that it makes me feel this is fairly solid. On the other hand, if you had to carry this any kind of significant distance, you would actually really start to feel this weight after a while. So starting at the bottom and working our way up, you've got 3 rubber coated feet there, so they're not going to be damaging your floor, and they are going to grip quite well. To put it up, I'm just going to pull the legs out, and what you normally find with this type of leg setup is it's actually easier to push that central bit, then move the legs out, and then there's a knob there for tightening them up. That's a really wide base you've got there now, so again, that is not going to be, that's quite sturdy, it's not going to be falling over very easily. The column in the centre has got 2, well, it's made of 3 sections, which means there's 2 bits that you can increase the height of. One slight negative there is the pieces can come all the way out, so you're just going to have to guess how far they can go up, or experiment. I think that's about it. I'll measure how high this actually gets later, but certainly that is a reasonable height to go on with. Oh, I should just mention the way it looks. I would say that's a reasonably aesthetically pleasing projector stand if you're into that kind of thing. It looks more kind of utilitarian and chunky than actually kind of like nicely designed. But that in itself is kind of pleasing versus a sort of rickety basic product. So on top of the platform here, I don't quite understand what's going on. It comes supplied with this phone holder, which I'm not quite sure, unless I'm missing something about the way people are using projectors. I'm not really sure what you would want that for. But then I tried screwing it in and then putting the foam mat in place, and this doesn't fit if you've got the phone holder screwed in. And a couple of other little clues are making me think there may be a specific reason for that. So the other thing I'm noticing at the moment is this top is able to tilt. If you can see the mechanism there, it's got a big sort of screw that you can loosen off there, and if you do, you're going to be able to tilt this top, which in theory is quite a nice thing to be able to do. Certainly I've almost every set of questions and answers on Amazon listings for every projector stand that I've ever read, people are asking, can you tilt the platform? So clearly there is some demand for a product that does that, and this one does. However, the one stand that I've reviewed previously that was able to tilt was not capable of tightening up enough that it could actually hold the weight of a projector, basically. Or, you know, the projector was in significant risk of being catapulted off by an accidental tilt. I gave this a quick go, and I've now just tried tightening it up more. Yeah. Okay, so this could be interesting. Without even reading anything of what other people have written about this product, I'm going to say I do not like this, because I've tightened that up about as much as it's possible to tighten it using this sort of circular knob. And it's pretty easy to tilt that still. I mean, if you put a projector on top, I don't think it's going to immediately fall off. I'm going to try and make sure that doesn't happen. And if you've got that going pretty much straight up and you've tightened it as much as you can, maybe that would then be okay forever. But if you've got it at a very slight angle, even if you have done a good job of tightening it, I would worry that over time that is going to very, very, very slowly shift and then end up very, very quickly falling off. So it'll be interesting to see in a minute if people have been writing about that as an issue. Anyway, just for now, I'll quickly demonstrate that it comes with these two elastic bands. Like I think I already mentioned, they're a bit flimsy, but there are two of them. So that probably does a decent job now of holding the projector in place, if anyone just knocked the stand. So that is about all I need to tell you about this. In brief summary, I kind of like it. You know, it's quite sturdy, looks decent, performs the basic functionality that it needs to. But I've got significant concerns about this top mechanism. Okay, I've had a research session and starting with Amazon questions and answers. Let's get into that a little bit. So there's quite a few. I think there were around 30 questions that people have asked, but none of them were kind of repeated or particularly important. And in this section I try and answer questions that people are answering over and over that clearly come across as important. However, one thing that was noticeable was that an awful lot of the questions referenced using laptops with this stand, and very few of them talked about projectors. In the negative reviews, there were a couple of trends. One was that people were talking about missing pieces. Quite a few deliveries are turning up with bits missing. That I would suggest is no huge deal, because these guys have got about 1,000 ratings on this product, which means they presumably sell tens of thousands. So if there's a few tens of people talking about missing pieces, that doesn't mean there's a high likelihood that is going to be what happens to you. However, it is something to be vaguely aware of. What I think was more telling is that there were quite a few negative reviews, 1 and 2 stars, by other people talking about the problem with the tilting platform. I stopped counting at around 10, but I think altogether it was something like about 15 to 20 people who mentioned this. Again, that's not a huge number of people, but it's not that often that people leave negative reviews. And for something as specific an issue as this, I think that means that it's not just my product here that's a one-off, that's struggling to hold itself upright with some weight on top. I think it's something that you can probably expect this product to do if you try and put a, well, any kind of significant size projector on top of it. As previously mentioned, there are lots of reviews for this product and many of them are positive. People talk about the fact that it's fairly cheap and therefore good value for money. It's tall. Plenty of people say it's sturdily built, you know, in contrast with my thoughts about the top of it. But then that does match with what I'm quite happy to say about the rest of it, which is that it does seem to me fairly well made apart from that. However, an awful lot of the 5-star reviews mention people using them for laptops and quite a few people using them for music. That is highly relevant because if you put a fairly lightweight laptop on top of this, or if you put a book of music, it's not going to fall over. You're not going to even be aware that there's a problem with it. So if you're buying it to use it for those sorts of purposes, then this is probably quite a decent product. But this review is all about this as a projector stand, which, just to point out, is one of the things it's advertised as being capable of doing on Amazon, and that's why you get the foam pad with it and the elastic bands. I think the mentioning of laptops in both the questions and answers and the positive reviews is really important to understand, because it means that not only is it getting positive reviews for something that may not be relevant to you if you're buying it for use with a projector, but I would imagine, well, no, I don't imagine, I know for certain, I just don't actually have data, that there will be many times more people looking to buy something like this for a combination of laptops and music and potentially other lightweight items, many times more doing that than looking to buy this for use with a projector. Which means that the negative projector-based reviews are going to get drowned out by all the people using it for a different purpose. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've also just left myself another note along the same lines. But when it comes to the projector-based comments, it is also possible that some of the people who are mentioning projectors and giving it 5-star or good quality reviews might be using pocket or Pico projectors, basically the very small light ones, which again you could put on top of here and they wouldn't make it fall over. I did also put the URL for this item into a site called reviewmeta.com, which is an algorithm that can basically tell you, well, the people who own the site make it clear that it's just a suggestion they're making, but they've put together an algorithm that can tell you, sorry, I need to get my words straight here, give you a guide as to whether there may be fake reviews on an Amazon listing or not. And their algorithm suggests that around 7% of the reviews, that's not the ratings where people just give it a 1 to 5 star and that's it, these are the actual written reviews, around 7% of them are potentially fake or illegitimate in one way or another. So if you strip them out too, you might get a slightly more correct understanding of how good this product is and who it's for. I can't help but feel that doing the core competencies for this product, given what I've learned about it now, is a little bit pointless, but I'll just rattle through them quickly. So maximum height, I've measured it when it's in its upright position and it comes to a fairly impressive 49 inches, which is about 125 centimetres. That's really quite tall for a projector stand, although that is with the tripod legs almost completely folded for maximum height. So if you wanted it that high, you would be at risk of the whole thing tipping over. Second one is a minimum build quality achieved. Well, if you're not buying this as a projector stand, if you just want to put sheet music on it, then yes, minimum build quality is absolutely achieved. But if you want to put a projector on it, I would say no chance, don't do it. Your projector is very likely to make it tip over and you might break your projector. 3, likelihood of breaking. By this I mean the likelihood of it actually breaking at some point in the future, something snapping or whatever. Well, looking at the general build quality, ignoring the specific issue, I would say it's fairly decent build quality, and there are very few working parts, so I don't think it's likely to actually break any more than it kind of is straight out of the box. And fourth and final, approximate price. This is currently on Amazon.com for around $36, but prices do vary, so you might want to check that. Well, I'll do a quick conclusion, although I think by now you understand what my position is on this. One thing to note at this point is if you look at the Amazon store of the Holdoor, the people that are selling this, for starters, if you look at their brand story, it is actually about Holdoor off Game of Thrones, which is certainly what popped into my head when I read that name. And then you look at the items that they've got for sale and realise that it's a completely random mixed bag. They sell hair fascinators for women, bath bombs, a comb, a play sprinkler for kids on trampolines, and then this one random bit of sort of audio visual accessory kit. So my guess is, with some certainty, that this is just a person doing a bit of work, getting the occasional product from China that they think there is an ability to sell on Amazon, and just having a go. They're not a specialist audio-visual retailer, and that means, for starters, they may lack the contextual knowledge required to recognise the failings in their own product. Or perhaps it's just that, since they're not a big company with a name to look after and the resources to carefully choose the stock that they hold, they've just seen that there's an opportunity here to take a single item but sell it under various different descriptions, and have done so, regardless of the fact that selling it under the description of a projector stand is doing people a disservice, I would argue. That said, I have just left myself a quick note to point out that it is possible that I've just got a bit of a wonky example here, and that many of the ones that they make are actually better with regards to staying upright. Nevertheless, if I was going to buy a projector stand, this would not be the one that I would get, because if you combine my experience with the other projector-based negative reviews, it seems to me that there is a pretty good chance that yours is also not going to be fit for purpose to actually hold a projector. That's the end of this review. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you found it useful. If you want more information, or if you want to make a purchase, if you're watching this in YouTube, there are links in the description, or if you're watching it on our website, there are links on the page. Thanks, and see you next time.